Okay, so we ready to go?
Yeah, this is Jim Malkin. This is the General Manager Search Committee meeting today. We have with us Faststream. We will be going through a number of items today. We will have a search update from Faststream, some additional questions or comments that have been identified by members of the working group, any action items or timelines that we need to establish will happen. Following that, we'll take public comment on the search committee and process specifically.
I see Mr. Jones in the audience. I'll bring him over.
Okay, that's great.
And we have minutes as well. Don't forget, Jim.
I won't forget, but first we have to get Mr. Jones in, and then I'm going to ask Terrence Keneally, the general counsel, to read the obligatory meeting notices. So we're waiting for Mr. Jones.
He's there.
Yeah, we see him, but he's muted. We see his name at least. Hey there, Bob.
Mr. Jones, are you there?
I'm here, but you can't hear me.
No, we can hear you.
Oh, we can hear you now.
No, we can hear you.
We don't see
Okay,
you, but we can hear you. There we go.
There you go.
There we are.
Sorry about
Hey, Bob,
that.
we now have the whole working group here. I'd like,
right.
is Rob Munir here?
Yep, Rob's still here.
Okay, because I don't see him, but that's fair
There he
enough.
is.
We're not on my screen, but okay.
Having lunch. So
Oh, okay, fair enough.
keep-
Enjoy your meal. Mr. Keneally would do me a favor and
I will
read it.
go right now, Jim. So this is a recording announcement. I would like to inform everyone that Sean Driscoll, the authority's communication director, is making an audio and video recording of today's meeting. Is there anyone else making an audio recording of today's meeting? If so, please identify yourself. If you are joining virtually, please press the raise your hand icon on the Zoom dashboard, or if you are joining by telephone, by pressing *9 on your keypad. And when you are recognized, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
And we have Louisa Hofstetter.
Yes, you do. Louisa Hofstadter with the Vineyard Gazette and so forth.
Thank you. And that's what I see.
Okay, great. So then we'll do the statement concerning remote participation.
Please.
Pursuant to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, as amended, search committee members are participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendances today would be unreasonably difficult. All search committee members in attendance and all members participating in the meeting by the Zoom video conferencing app will be clearly audible to each other. As a result of the members' remote participation in the meeting, any and all votes taken by the members today shall be by roll call vote. And with that, Jim, it's over to you.
Thanks very much, Terrence. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yep.
The first item for consideration are the minutes, the approval of the minutes of the committee's meeting on the 12th of May. Anybody have any comments or wish to move the minutes?
Move approval.
Okay, is it seconded?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have motion made and the motion seconded. Comes to a vote. It needs to be a roll call vote. And if I look at the, I think it goes J, L, S, M.
I just write them down. It's just like
John?
so.
Well, Jones, I'll start it off.
Thank you. Well, I need to. It's alphabetical.
Lowell, I.
Joe, Malcolm.
Why?
Munir, aye.
Jones?
All right. Minutes have been approved. At this point, I'd like to invite Faststream. Both of the folks are here to give us an update from them in terms of the search process, things that they have discovered during the process, and any questions that they have for us at this point. So, gentlemen, over to you.
Shall I jump in and Matt, and just give a bit of an overview? Clearly, we're in a public forum, so the specifics and individual private information we can't share here, but I can give you a feel for how we're getting on with this search. The good news is that when we're speaking to individuals, and I'll give you some metrics in a minute of how many that looks like and where we're at, the role is well received. The opportunity is attractive, and those who have looked into the Steamship and have run the slide rule across the opportunity are coming back and engaging with us, rather than there's a theme why people are passing or not interested. Now, with any search, there's always going to be reasons that people are unavailable, but encouragingly, that's been primarily either lack of ability to relocate, which is standard, or they're fairly new in post and committed to their roles, and can't move for any role at this time, which you see in the senior community, and that's quite common. So there hasn't been a theme or anything I need to report that's concerning that is Steamship specific, that's a roadblock or an immediate problem. So that's good. That's good news to start with, that we're having engaging and positive discussions. I'd like to just give you some reassurance with the scope of the search and what we're doing on our side with regards to volume. So we're looking at operational and strategic leaders, usually they're combined, within a really broad range of organizations that relate well to the Steamship role. So that might cover sectors that we've discussed at previous meetings, such as obviously maritime, but we've broadened that out to rail. I think the broader transit industry, so all of scale, so buses and similar modes of transport in that area, and the aviation industry, to give us that initial passenger movement scale, complex organization coverage. Some metrics for you would be we've mapped in detail and found the target individuals within approximately 70 organizations so far. That will naturally grow and referrals will come from that, but just gives you an idea of the where. Right now, our spreadsheet is increasing weekly, but we have rough numbers, 95 targets, individuals under active review. So it just gives you an idea that we've mapped out proactively 95 different individuals who we feel have interesting qualities and working backgrounds for the Steamship Authority. Additionally, I checked, this is up to date as of this afternoon, we had 40 applicants who proactively have applied to us, and we're working through those. That's a mixture of backgrounds, I would say, but that's common from an advertised route. And so far, just to give you the output of that, there is a shortlist evolving. This won't be the final number. We don't expect it to be, but we are confident that we have 5 individuals under more detailed discussion now that we've gone through initial discussions. They've registered an interest and actively looking at house prices and more detailed research, including this in depth into the Steamship. So I'm encouraged at this stage that we have a short list that we are working through. We can't name names here, and we wouldn't, but that will grow. To give you an idea of headwinds that we see, we thought when we started this, there were 2 pillars here. Potentially it could be the finances, the remuneration, or it might be some of the operational things we're yet to finalize or work through, such as the public nature of interviews. So on the finances front, I can say that the majority of these candidates, apart from probably a couple of outliers, sit between the $200,000 to $300,000 base remuneration range, which I think we broadly expected for good professionals in this space. We haven't really spent much time on, but we do think about these things internally. Talked a lot about the diversity of the portfolio of candidates that we have, and I would say so far those we're engaging with and have on our short and long list reflect probably the male-female ratio, just to pick one of those metrics. in the industry. So we're probably looking at five-ish, 5 to 10% maximum females, probably nearer the 5. But our intention was that we set a wide enough net here that we have a really good range of professionals and encompass people from all backgrounds and genders, and that's important, I think, for the thorough nature of this search. Detailed discussions. Good news is we're finding people who have that blend of leadership, strategy, have worked in complex, more matrixed organizations, but have led from the front. Possibly they've been a number 2, but they've been in larger than Steamship organizations that they've done a lot of self-directed strategy and covered the large US regions, for example. And we've touched on other areas like the importance to have a sound understanding of things like unionized labor experience, labor relations, plus the ability to connect in a public-facing role and be the face of an organization. And so I would say those boxes are broadly being ticked. Those that haven't done maritime have done similar roles in other transport modes, enough to understand the issues that you face, certainly on a top line, which is good. And they're not fazed by that. And surprisingly, I would say more than not, are quite at this stage, although I won't say we won't lose people on the journey, so we still need a plan for that, or at least a ruling on it. But more than not so far are comfortable with at least a final stage on camera, should it get that far in terms of interview. Now, I can't tell you that that's everybody, but there were more yeses than no's so far. If
Jonathan, towards the end of this session, we're going to discuss the process going forward, because I've taken on board your prior comments during meetings and in one-on-one about the issue of confidentiality for the candidates. We've talked extensively, or I've talked extensively with counsel and the open meeting laws here. And I think we can lay out towards the end of this discussion what the process will be so that the candidate we want is not scared away by having his or her name revealed to the public during the process.
Super. Yeah, so our questions have been a light touch around that to gain their initial opinion, with a caveat that we're not yet decided. So it'd be great that we hear your thoughts on that. But I think I'm heartened so far that there's still a lot of people that have we're due to speak to and have expressed they would like to speak, but we're trying to arrange dates, times to do so. So to be at this point with the people we've spoken to, we're comfortable we've spoken to some good people at this time. I'd like to, if I may, bring Matt in. He's obviously been speaking to individuals, whether he had any other comments initially around feedback, thoughts, caliber of individuals we're speaking to around this role.
Right, and that's definitely one of our items here. Any additional questions or issues that you've come up with that have been identified during your discussions with potential candidates?
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's been any patterns forming so far. So I can just completely echo what Jonathan said. I feel like we've got a really positive shortlist forming of candidates. We're not there yet, but I don't have any major concerns at the moment that there's a big turn away from working from this role and working for the Steamship. So
that's good.
Quietly confident, if I can say that. It's recorded now, so
yeah, not a problem. Is there any other things that you want to share with us?
Well, probably that there is a volume search. Our mission here has been to find the best person for the role, assuming it was challenging and throwing that net wide. Well, the fact that we have a reasonable shortlist starting to evolve is good, but we don't want to be in a position where we miss good people.
Right. Okay.
So there's a lot to work through, I think, but we're on course for that. We would say to you that we'd like to have a presentable shortlist ready for interview by, well, we'd like end of July, with dates and holiday periods quite active at the moment. but
Yeah.
we would bring that forward if possible. But I think that's a working date that we feel pretty confident around.
So you're talking about end of July for having candidates available to meet.
Ready to present with our write-ups scored, you know, giving you the handing over the baton to you guys, and we need to think about, and it's good that you raise it, the process we take on from there. So probably the process has been the question, and we've left that open until we have guidance from you around the process you wish to take forward.
Right. Well, I have had discussion internally about that. And I've asked Mr. Jones, who's had extensive parliamentarian experience as well, with familiarity of the open meeting law here in the States as it applies to this situation, to lay out specifically what we're hoping to do with the process so that he can inform Mr. Munir as well as Mr. Lowell what we're looking to do here. Bob, can you go through that?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. One of the most important things that I feel that we have to concentrate is on the confidentiality of the candidates, and I think that's absolutely number one. And we get into in Massachusetts here is the open meeting law, which basically has an exemption within the law for boards to appoint a search committee or a hiring committee within the in keeping that within the executive session. And I think the process everything will be held in executive session. And that's a given, and that should be, relayed to the candidates. Their names will not be divulged until the final approval, which I am hoping that we can pare down to a single candidate. And to do this, we within the open meeting law can meet again and and narrow down the field as we go. In the event that we had two or more candidates that were kind of putting on the same level and things like that, as far as I'm concerned, we might ask you to go back and find other candidates. I think we're looking for the top candidate, not number two, not number three, but the top candidate. And so I wouldn't, I don't know how we'll do it, but we wouldn't want to go back and say, well, this is the candidate we approve and should be there, and that person drops out or something, and then we take number two. But that's just getting, way ahead of the game here. So I think just for the candidates, if they know that their names and their jobs are protected on this end here, I mean, if you think we should sign a confidentiality agreement, that would be fine with me, unless you don't feel it's necessary.
Right. So if I can, I appreciate that. So to that, Jonathan and Matthew. So what we're saying, and I'm going to invite Rob and Nat to comment as well. What Bob has laid out is that we would interview the final candidates that you bring to us in executive session. And after discussion in executive session or sessions, as I'm sure it will be, if we come up with a recommendation that's unanimous from the working group to take to the board, at that point we would do that, and we would do that with the board. But what we're talking about is confidentiality so that we do not scare away a potentially great candidate.
Yep.
So is Rob or Nat?
I totally agree. In fact, we probably should have been talking about this earlier. This is a hugely important. This isn't 1970. This is a different era, and we need to have all these boxes ticked so that we don't lose an opportunity to get somebody. Is Terry on? I just wanted to check with him if he is in complete agreement with what's being said right now.
Terry is on, and I have talked with Terry about
Okay.
it. He is in agreement.
Okay, great. Just checking. Thank you, Jim.
Not a problem. So,
You know, if it'd be helpful to you, I'll read you a couple of sections of the open meeting law. And this is, there are 10 exemptions to the open meeting law to go into executive session. And number 8 is to consider or interview applicants for employment or appointment by a preliminary screening committee if the chair, this is important, declares in the open meeting that it will have a detrimental effect to obtaining qualified applicants, provided, however, that this clause shall not apply to any meeting, including meetings of a preliminary screening committee to consider and interview applicants who have passed a prior preliminary screening. We're on the initial screening. This purpose permits the hiring of a subcommittee of a public body or a preliminary screening committee to conduct the initial screening process in executive session. This purpose does not apply to any stage in the hiring process after the screening committee or subcommittee votes to recommend candidates to the parent body. It may, however, include a review of resumes and multiple rounds of interviews by the screening committee aimed at narrowing down the group of applicants down to the finalist. At the time that the executive session is proposed and voted on, the chair must state on the record that having a discussion of an open session will be detrimental to the public body's ability to attract qualified applicants for the position. So the open meeting law is fully aware that this is an important, exclusion here. And the committee must contain no less than a quorum of the members of no more than a quorum of the parent public body. It said it just as a note, it said that the public body is not required to create a screening committee, but if the body chooses to conduct a review of applicants itself, it may not do so in executive session. So we're in the preliminary stages of this. They're talking about if in fact we made recommendations, we can't go back, into executive session to discuss further. We have to continue it in public session. So anyways, this gives us the authority to fully screen and vet all candidates. And we can narrow the list down as we proceed, and then we'll make our recommendations to the board. And once they do that, that will be in public session. When we go into the final deliberations on salary and things like that with the candidate, that can go back into executive session until we've done that like any meeting. And then, but the final approval of all facts and figures have to be done in public. By that time, the candidate would be known.
thank you, Bob. Jonathan and Matt, since this is an issue that you had raised as well, does that make you more comfortable with how this will impact the candidate pool?
Well, yes, if I interpret it correctly, there's a lot of legal jargon that I just process quickly, but it does sound like you have the authority to avoid losing candidates in public.
So
in summary, so that's good.
Yeah.
And we haven't been excluding anyone on that basis, keeping the our options open here, because our role is to present you with the people who can do the job and to the best ability and in favor of the steamship. So it's great that there's that flexibility.
Okay, thank you. Matt, you want to add anything to that?
No, that's exactly my thought. So yeah, just so we're really clear on just interpreting that there's no requirement for the candidates to be discussed or screened in, and that can all be done in an executive session.
That's correct. Just to make bullet points, I think, of what Mr. Jones has just said to you. We will, once you bring us the candidates, once you're prepared to discuss individual candidates by name, and you bring us that list, we will discuss them and we will meet with them, and we will do that in executive session, because doing so otherwise would be detrimental to the hiring process. When we get done and we have winnowed down to a candidate that we think is the appropriate candidate, then we will take a recommendation in open session to our board of governors, our members who are on our board, and we will discuss them in open session. When we get into the issue of compensation, that will be done in executive session in terms of employment, et cetera, et cetera. Once we finalize that, then we will move to take that into open session to finalize it. But all those details will be discussed and negotiated in executive session with the candidate.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim. Well, that keeps our options open and removes that roadblock for one or two. It will, inevitably drop out on that basis.
We were very concerned about that.
Well, yeah, and I'm pleased the research has been done. I'm sure there's plenty of work done to go through the plenty of the literature to find that. So thank you.
Okay, Mr. Munir, you have your hand up virtually.
Yes. Thanks. I think, this is good news. Would have been probably good to have this known right from the start, because I think we all had some angst about how we were going to play this out. I do want to make sure I understand how this plays out at the end. So in other words, we go through the executive sessions, we go through the interviews, we winnow, it seems like there's a very strong need or goal to have a single recommendation to make to the Board of Governors in order to maintain this notion of the confidentiality among the finalists.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have multiple finalists, then you've kind of put us a little bit back to where we thought we were before, where you've got folks that are potentially, made public in their interest in the position, but they only have a 1 in 3 or 1 in 2 or 1 in 4 chance if it's more than one finalist. So it would seem like it puts us in a position of wanting to put forward a single recommendation.
It does seem like that. I would hope, as we go through this extensive and exhaustive process, that this search group that we are part of will agree that we have a stellar candidate that we all agree to make a recommendation on. If we do not all agree on that, I think what Mr. Jones suggested, and we can cover that should we get to that point. I don't think we have to tie that one down now, but it may be that at that point, rather than say, well, our first candidate we can't agree on, so it isn't the first candidate, so let's go back and look for others. That would be one option. The other option might be that, well, the first candidate we can't agree on, but second or three. I mean, we'll go through I think, a very exhaustive discussion process in our executive session, so as not to lose the 1 or 2 or 3 people who might be terrific.
Yeah. Okay. I'm also curious, Bob, in your reading of that, you mentioned something about the quorum of the search committee as opposed to the quorum of, I was a little unclear about what that meant. It may not be germane to this concern we have, but I'm curious what that means.
Well, if you had, like the board, if we had all members of the board, a quorum is, with the 25% weighted votes and things like that can push things around. But basically, we have 2 members of the board and we have 2 members of the port council. So there's not a quorum amongst us. if we had 3 members of the board or something like that, just using the 5, you know, that would create a quorum. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a quorum of this particular committee
Well,
should not be a quorum in another board.
Don't
So
forget
we're-
the weight. Don't forget the weighted vote, Bob. That's
well,
the
that's
other
kind of
one.
where, that's kind of where I was going. In other words, Jim and Bob, Nat and I have equal votes. on
No,
our-
Jim
Right.
and Rob do. Yeah. So
Jim and
that's why
Bob,
it's set
Jim
up
and
this
Bob.
way.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I was curious about that. It also, I was trying to just understand whether there was some implication relative to, there had been discussion about having another member from the community be on this committee. It feels like that quorum question sort of makes that more problematic.
Yeah.
That decision looks like it was the right decision under the circumstances.
When I populated, excuse me, I'm sorry. When I populated the committee, that I specifically looked at the candidates, their institutional knowledge and what they bring to the board. And to make sure that, there's representation in Falmouth, Nantucket, and the Vineyard and down at Barnstable. So all of those things, made sense. And if we opened it up for one other person, we probably would be duplicating some town or some relationship. So this works. And I'm very comfortable with the board, this committee here. So I think we're on the right direction, but we needed to set the ground rules before we got any further into this.
And I think we've done a good job at that. I think it's clear, certainly to hopefully to Matt and to Jonathan, and it's clear to the search committee as well. And so now, now it's time for the digging and the finding and the examining and the discussing. So in terms of timeline, if you want to just sum up where we are, Jonathan or Matthew, you said end of July. And of course, we all here in scenic Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, July and August are pretty busy as a minimum. So this group will continue to try and work through it, recognizing you may have some issues with candidates and their availability through the holiday period.
It's because it's so individual to the candidates and you as a committee, it's a dynamic process, but we have to set ourselves a goal so that you can start thinking around, are there dates ahead that can be possibly ring fenced?
Yeah.
I think if we get to the end of July and we don't have any possible interview dates and people are planning their diaries, we lose time.
Correct.
Possibly unnecessarily. So I would encourage the board to think ahead of time. Are there dates and times that can be at least penciled or reserved? And who might that include? Is it some, all, and how many people are involved?
Well, the four members of this search committee will be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for one, and I think I can speak for Rob as well as for Nat and Bob, will do what is necessary to make this process work. That means meeting in July, first week, second week, third week, fourth week. I think there are only 4, or any of the 5 weeks in August. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Zoom situation in 2 days. What do we have? 2 days for posting?
Yeah.
So I mean that
48 working hours of working days.
Yeah, that's pretty easy to do with Zoom.
It seems like we could pick a date now for the end of July if that would just give Jonathan and Matthew a target to work towards. And why not pick a date now?
I'm not trying to say no to that because of my current medical condition. I don't know when. I've got a couple of things on the calendar I've got to be in Boston for now, but I would let you go for this because we'll still have a quorum if I'm not here. So you know, depending. And so I would go with whatever you guys suggest on that.
Well, let me ask Matt and Jonathan. Would you think that the third week of July is too soon or too late to start?
I think we'd like to be into the last week of July to have covered the ground. If we bring it forward, that's a good position to be in.
So second week of July?
Sorry, we're going the other way. I was thinking we would present to you the shortlist in the last week of July.
Oh, all right.
Because
Well,
the shortlist presentation will contain the personal details and the walkthrough of each candidate. So that really should be in in the same vein an executive session.
it will be, and
as
then
you'd expect.
And then once you give us the short list and we go through that very extensively with you, then we're going to decide who we wish to meet in person on Zoom, in virtual person, and that
Correct,
will also be an executive session.
Yeah, good.
So you're saying the fourth week in July?
That will look. I'm comfortable to commit to that purely because that gives us enough time to go through the volume that we need to do.
Okay. How does that sound, Rob, Nat, and Robert?
I'm good with that.
That's good.
Yeah, well, I'm retired, guys, so I don't even know what day it is. I'm available.
Okay.
I've only got a couple of appointments in July that I can't change.
Well, let's aim then for the fourth week of July. And if
The what?
the fourth week in July. And Jonathan, if you or Matt want to move that forward or can't do it and need to move it backward, we'll be flexible. But right now we're all holding that last week in July.
But you're saying the last week. You get the fourth week. There's 5 weeks, and well, it starts in July 1st. You got 5 weeks in July.
Right. Okay. So the weeks of 7/21 and 7/28 are open because there's no board or port council meetings then.
I've got one problem on the 22nd of July.
All right.
Other than that, going 23, 24, 25, right through.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave this to Jonathan and Matt. Why don't you get back to us whether the week of 7/21 or 7/28 works better?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, and there are some unknowns here because we got to get through the people and be confident to present what you need. In that time frame. So yeah, I think Matt and I put our heads together on that one.
Come back to
it just occurred to me how what's the balance between Zoom interviewing and face-to-face, and how many rounds are we looking at? Because people may be scattered around the US, so that is not impossible. We're speaking to people east and west, north and south. So therefore, I'm assuming you'll need a face-to-face round. Correct me if I'm wrong. And how many, and if how many of rounds would you suspect you might need
per person?
Yes.
I would probably want 2. Certainly if they're highly qualified, as I hope they will be, and the first one could be virtual. But if we get down to somebody who we're really strong on, my personal opinion is face-to-face is very important.
I think that goes both ways, Jim.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think the first preliminary for all cases, could be virtual, and then the second meeting, would be face-to-face.
Yeah.
That makes
Nat, Rob, agree?
Yeah, I think it'll sort of become self-evident if it makes sense to have a second virtual before a face-to-face. I think those are things that will sort of make decisions on the fly. But there's no question in my mind that in the end we'll need to have face-to-face meetings with
Yep.
one or more of the finalists, for sure.
Yeah,
Agree.
I agree with that.
Now, are we going to just schedule one candidate per day, or how are you going to? How do you plan to schedule the appointments?
What's your view, Jonathan and Matt?
Well, we're not doing the interviews, so I guess it comes down to your availability and how much time you need with each. A Teams interview realistically can be an hour to get a feel for a person and be able to have an internal discussion around their suitability to take forwards. So, in principle, there can be one or two or three in a day. In reality, I wouldn't schedule 4 back to back after lunch, because I think you flag by the end of it. So I would space it out. But I think, look, a couple a day, depending on your availability, is not unrealistic, certainly virtually. And if we need to rush people through because there's pressure from other competing organizations, but they favor you and we have a reason to move a little quicker, then perhaps that might be a flexibility just to bear in mind.
Well, I think you'll find that our group will be quite flexible and open. This is hugely, hugely important for us. If it needs to be 2 or 3 a day, we will do so. I agree, an hour and a half, anything over an hour and a half, everybody's going to not be on their best. So we're going to take our cue from you on that. You've got 2 weeks here that we can work with, 7/21 and 7/28. You'll come back to us on that.
Yeah.
You've got the guidelines in terms of how we're going to approach meetings with the people. And is there anything else you need from us?
I think it sits with us still, Jim, at the moment. Matt may have some thoughts around anything else we need, but we're comfortable. We're heading in a positive direction, and we welcome any other questions you may have.
Okay. Bob, were you saying something, Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I mean, if we've taken care of the meeting dates and things like that, pretty much, I assume that. By the way, I appreciate the rubrics you sent out and that whole thing. Is that what we're going to concentrate on? We as a board, I think we're going to have to talk a couple of times to make sure that we're on the same page, the questions and things like that. I look at a candidate sometimes is more, when you put a rubrics in there and you're putting a number, and I think you had like 5 points for each point, so 1, 3, and a 5 or something like that. To me, it gets very confusing to put a numerical number on an interview. I mean, I usually I like advantageous, semi-advantageous or good, bad, or whatever, something that's a little broader. And I don't mind going through that rubrics there, but I don't know how many people have gone through it. I've gone through it, and there's some good logical questions, but we can't. If we discussed every question, it would take that an hour and a half in a heartbeat. And so I think a lot of interviews has to be with the face-to-face, type of thing. Who is this person? How does he present himself? Is he nervous? Has he got canned, answers or whatever? I mean, just the person, the relationship.
Yeah.
And, in a career in selling sport fishing boats and doing 14 boat shows a year or 40 some odd days during a calendar year, meeting and greeting, people, you can't waste your time in that thing with somebody who just wants an education here versus who's a buyer and who wasn't a buyer. In other words, you got to qualify the candidate pretty quickly.
I think, Bob, I think you're right. And I don't think the rubrics are hard and fast, but I think it gives us a framework with which to look at people. And I also agree that there's a lot of stuff that's subjective as well as a lot of stuff that is objective, and all of that has to get, massaged through as thoroughly as we can. And I think we we can handle that quite well. Is there anything further that needs to be discussed? Rob or Nat?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank you.
You good? Anything from Matt or Jonathan?
What is the representation abroad? In other words, how many, you said you had something like 80, 90 inquiries and things like that. What is the US number? I assume that's the majority of them.
So, okay, so just to break that down, we've mapped out 96 individuals proactively that we felt that were worth reaching out to and making contact with. They're all in the US. So that's a US figure. Yeah, you're spot on, Bob. The applicants we've had are mixed, and we have friends around the world, and we have a big shop window as Faststream. I would say that roughly about 50% of those were US. So if we think about those who are in country and screenable, whether their backgrounds are right or wrong, it's probably around the 115 total number. But yeah, there when you put an advert out, you get a mixed response. I just wanted to give you a feel for the metrics.
Thank you. Just also for Jonathan and Matt, Mr. Jones made a couple comments about the candidate and he this or he that. It's a he or she, as you're very well aware. We want the best possible candidate we can get.
Yeah, and we're engaging with female leaders, and we were keen to include a wide search that encompassed a cross section of the leadership, and that includes all backgrounds.
Thank you for that. Okay, anything further? All right, at this point, Sean, we will take public comment on the topic of the search committee.
Sure. Anyone with public comment can raise your hand, and I've got a couple. We'll start with Amy Cody.
Hi, Amy Cody from Chilmark. I have a few questions. Number one, how many people are on this call? Number two, I'm curious why Bob Davis is on this call. We thought at the beginning that he would not be involved in any of the search committee meetings, which is what we thought you told us. Number three, is the rubric with the questions for the interviews a public document? Is that something that the public can see ahead of time? And that's all I've got right now.
Mr. Davis, as everybody else who is interested in participating, is available to listen in on this meeting. What were your other questions, please?
How many people are on this call?
Sean, do you know?
Yeah, and that's visible to you, Amy. It's 10 attendees in addition to the panelists.
Okay, and then the last question was about the rubric and the interview questions.
Amy, I would advise you to file a records request, and then Terrence and I, as the records officers, will review the releasability of that.
Will do. Thank you.
Anything further?
Yeah, I have one more. Beth O'Connor.
Hello, everybody. Beth O'Connor, Edgartown. I'm going to ask one more time, and we've begged, we've done everything we can. Right now, the Steamship Authority has a huge PR problem, huge. And frankly, let me just finish.
No.
You guys are part of it.
Do you have a question?
I have a question. Can I get to it? I absolutely have a question, Jim.
Yes. Otherwise,
let me get to my question, because I was just framing it. My question is this. Again, one more time, we need to ask this question. Can we please have a member for this person to have a chance on the other side, to have a chance of public acceptance and success for all of us? We feel that it was very important to have a member of the public on your search committee. We have begged, we thought it was a given, we thought it was a for sure. So we're just asking one more time. We think it would be a very positive PR move. Again, I know you have this quorum thing and the voting and all that good stuff, but let's just say this person didn't even have voting. This person just had input. I'm just saying one more time, this would be a perfect time to insert someone. Can we please consider it?
Mr. Jones has his hand up.
Thanks, Jim.
For the member of the public, if you read the enabling legislation, which I assume you have, that the members of the board are chosen as residents from the communities they serve. We are all members of the public. Each one of us have been appointed by our boards, and we are representatives of their board. So the public is being served. And that's according to the enabling legislation.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Okay, hearing none, we're going to.
Jim, sorry, there's one more person. I was on mute. I was on mute this time. I apologize. Margaret Hanneman.
Thank you, Sean. I thought you were dissing me there. So I just want to check. Mr. Davis will not be involved in any of the interviews and in any of the discussions. Anything that is done in a situation where I myself cannot log into.
Mr. Davis is not part of this search process.
Thank you. He's not part of the committee.
That's correct.
No.
Okay. And I will just add, I understand, Mr. Jones, that you are all members of the committee, but you are also on the Steamship Authority boards, either the board, which we used to call Board of Governors, or the port councils. And as such, you are a very insular group. You meet all the time and you only hear each other's opinions. But from the community, there are many upstanding, none of us, you don't put Margaret on, you don't put Beth on. There's a lot of upstanding, a name that we submitted who would add value to how, and outside the little tiny bubble of the Steamship board would add value, and the community would be appreciative. That's it. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anything further?
No, that's all I see.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to conclude?
Motion
No.
to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. It's going to be roll call. Mr. Jones?
Jones, aye.
Okay. Mr. Lowell?
Aye.
Malkin, aye. Mr. Manir?
Aye.
Thank you all for your time and for participating. I look forward to moving this forward in the best possible manner, get the best possible result. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Jim. Take care.
Cheers.